hello viewers of OBN Horn of Africa. This is Future Africa special program. And today I'm joining by Professor Dibaba Tasfaye, a lecturer at London University. And thank you very much for joining me, Professor Dibaba. And it is really my pleasure to host you today again.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Today, we are going to discuss these H.R.6600 draft bill. Let us start from the very beginning of its intention. And what is the intention of these H.R.6600 and which sectors and bodies are also targeted by this draft bill?
Yeah, thank you for the question. To understand the intention behind, you need to understand, even because the resolution is given a title. The title is Ethiopia Stabilization, Peace and Democracy Acts. And this is a deceptive title, and there is something completely different is behind it. This Western ruling class, they always know how to gloss over or how to cover their main intention. The intention is to give it a background, depends on their policy. This policy is not clear. This policy is not always been told in a sincere manner, because the most important mechanism or a way of pursuing their own interest is always to disguise the main purpose and to gloss it over like this, a deceptive title or the act. It says this act may be cited as the Ethiopia Stabilization, Peace, and Democracy Act. To start with, United States has never ever in its history, in its existence, ever favored a democracy. For this, we have tons of evidence, empirical evidence. United States never accepted the will of any nation, any country. For that, we can cite numerous evidence or occasions. And let me give a background to this House resolution. Most people don't understand where this comes from, the root of it. The root of it is United States has a policy which so far I've never heard from anyone, especially from my own background, from Ethiopians, what United States policies has been and still is. United States has two-pronged policy. One, global deindustrialization. Two, global depopulation. Everything that they do runs within this track. No one ever, under the heaven, anyone can come and challenge me if they have the acumen. Within this track, not to the left or right, everything is being done within this track. You know, the running track, if you step out, you are disqualified. Within policy making, this is the most important. No one can move out of this track. Whether it's a Democrat, whether it's a Republican, whether it's James or John or Judy or anybody who pursue American policy, foreign policy, is based on these two prongs. Nobody's telling anyone, they don't teach you in the school. You study American foreign policy and politics, nobody tells you, they tell you something else. but you have to find out if you are intelligent enough. So this HR, most Ethiopians are thinking now, is just like it came from a blue sky, maybe supporting the TPLF, or maybe this and that. No. Ethiopia has decided since Dr. Abiy Ahmed came, is determined about escaping the vicious cycle of dependency, food insecurity, always starvation, famine, and all of that. And United States, global deindustrialization and depopulation does not allow Dr. Abiy's policy. Let him hear this. It does not allow, on our dead body, they say. I'll read it to you exactly what this, the main purpose of the two-pronged policy. Unless you understand the policy, you won't be able to understand the H.R.6600 because it emanates from somewhere. This global deindustrialization, depopulation, especially the deindustrializations aimed at, one, crippling the economic and social development of third world countries. Two, while the related policy of depopulation is aimed at limiting the growth of manpower necessary for such development. Ethiopia's population is rising very fast. Within the last 2 decades, almost doubled. So this is a threat to United States, this policy, the policy of deindustrialization, global deindustrialization, and depopulation. Let me outline what are the plan. The plan is to enfeeble, this policy says, to enfeeble the power of the developing sector through fostering population decline, a plan to undermine states opposed to population control, a plan to create and strengthen third world police states as a means of enforcing population control. And so the policy concludes, third world economic development represents a threat to US national security, and those advocating such development policies had to be crushed. Let the policymakers, let the people in the regime hear this. This is exactly what it is. The reason why the United States is favoring TPLF, TPLF was trained, acculturated, adopted to, and suited to pursue America's two-pronged global deindustrialization and depopulation. Because first they resisted it, and then they hit them, hypnotized them, and then they adapted to their purpose. That's why I can give a very obvious and a clear evidence. In 2005, according to European calendar, the election was rigged. Nearly 200 people were killed as a result of that election. United States did not say a word to chastise, to discipline, or to correct what went wrong. Why? Because that's what they wanted. At least seems to be, I won't call it a perfect election. The opposition won it clearly, and the Meles Zenawi, the late Meles Zenawi, reversed that results. In the broad daylight, he stole the election. United States supported without any qualm or any quarrel. They continue to support a strengthened EPRDF regime. That's why their policy is contrary to the glossing over, such as this Ethiopia's Stabilization, Peace and Democracy Act. If that was the intention, if that's what they've been always pursuing, why they did not insist the TPLF accept that election result in 2005? Not only that, United States in the post-Second World War intervened in countless countries.
The bill on one hand says stabilization, to support stabilization and peace and democracy efforts in Ethiopia on one hand, and on the other hand, which is contrary to this, they are going to, impose sanction on different sectors, including the economic sector and political sector and even investment sector.
Of course. And that's what I say, it's a completely a contradictory and hypocritical. Look, this is what it says. It is the policy of the United States to support efforts. I'm reading the resolution, yeah? The H.R.6600. To support efforts to end the civil war and other conflicts in Ethiopia and gross violations of internationally recognized human rights, war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, and other atrocities in Ethiopia. And then to use all diplomatic development and legal tools to stabilize and end violence in Ethiopia. Look, to use all diplomatic development and legal tools to stabilize and end violence in Ethiopia. For the last point, the legal tools to stabilize and end violence in Ethiopia. Let me give you a very important prelude to this. United States also have developed a doctrine completely defeat exactly what is stated here. To use diplomatic development and legal tools to stabilize and end violence in Ethiopia. This doctrine is called Thornburg Doctrine. A man called Richard Thornburg, a former Attorney General of the United States, in his name, and this is the doctrine named in his name, Richard Thornburg, but the doctrine is called Thornburg Doctrine. This doctrine has about 4 very important objectives. Listen to this very carefully. Anybody who listens to this must understand exactly what this resolution is about. Completely, I want to make an argument to defeat exactly, to establish a fact that defeats exactly what this resolution has stated. The first objective says to assassinate leaders of foreign countries in the course of instigation or aiding anything, compromising the United States interest. Second, look, the first, to assassinate leaders of foreign countries. This Thornburg Doctrine states this. The second, to kidnap alleged fugitives from United States justice from foreign countries without the permission of the governments of those countries. United States can come and kidnap anybody if they wanted. They can send a special force, invisible force, not special force, an evil force. Third, to invade with United States military powers any country in which such fugitives may be found. Fourth, to offer immense bounties for the apprehension of such fugitives apparently alive or dead. That's why George Bush Jr. said, "Bring me dead or alive Osama bin Laden." And in 1989, United States invaded Panama in pursuit of this doctrine. Obviously, this doctrine has been applied in the invasion of Panama in 1989 and the destruction of Iraq in 1991. I can give numerous examples. So, how can you encourage democracy by completely causing havoc and a nightmare that will cause a social instability and fragmentation and a state collapse? Sanctions, what does the sanctions do? It does not affect the ruling class, those who are sucking the blood of their own people. It affects the ordinary people, the ordinary citizen. For example, the Goa, you know, the trade.
AGOA, yeah, AGOA.
Yeah, AGOA. And what does it do for a minister in Ethiopia, this policy, this sanction? Nothing. But thousands of people's livelihood is compromised, completely decimated. That's why we call United States is a menace to the stability, global stability, peace, and security. You know what they say? They have something very deceptive. I'm going to add you a third point. The United States extending the democratic zone of peace, they call it, a gloss over. They say in the name of democracy, we do this, but everything they do is destruction. They try to impose democracy in Iraq, it didn't work. In the name of democracy, they go to Libya, complete a disaster. They go to Syria, it's a disaster. They go to Yemen, everywhere, it's a disaster. Even the current ongoing fighting between, a war between Russia and Ukraine, they say the Ukrainians can decide for them on self. They're not deciding. It's the United States that says why they keep pushing, pressurizing in Russia. It's not about the democratic interest. They say we don't want adversary, a rival superpower, therefore to squeeze Russia and surround it, because this policy, by the way, goes back to the 1940s. I think in 1948, someone called George Kennan wrote an article. It's called X article. It says, encircle, drill underneath, and destroy Soviet Union. That's what the policy, and the policy of containment. Soviet Union was so pressurized, and then finally, they succeeded in bringing down the Soviet Union. So what I'm saying is this encouraging about the Stabilization, Peace and Democracy Acts is a complete a farce, a farcical, we call it, because that's not the way you encourage a development of something, a system, evolution. You encourage by other means, by encouraging a development, empowering more. You see, the more people economically self-sufficient, and they can eat, they can have basic needs, they can move on to another stage. But United States actually opposing that. And that opposing is not gonna, their action perpetuates on the contrary, not stabilization, destabilization, not peace, violence. If you don't understand the policy, the doctrines, the thing, the glossing over of something and the hidden behind it, you won't be able to understand the nub of the gist of the resolution, whatever they fantasize here. And this is a complete deception. And people must understand, especially decision makers, how to approach, how to deal with these issues. It's not, we are not neighbor to United States. We're not pushing, maybe taking, claiming a territory, or interfering in United States affairs. But United States ruling class always believe like an emperor. I call the imperial states. And they can go anywhere. You see, this Thornburg doctrine says, yeah, to invade the United States military power, any countries with such, they can invade by putting any pretext. The point is, the two-pronged global depopulation, deindustrialization, this is what it says, crippling the economic and social development of the third world, is to cripple this little bit embryonic thing shooting up now, the promising thing. They want to abort it. They want to kill it. And the PP, the Prosperity Party, is always singing this song, this America, as for America's ear, is an allergic to such a thing. Prosperity.
Why they don't want to listen about prosperity, about development? Why they always discourage development things and democracy here in Africa?
This is the policy. I keep telling you, the two most important aim is to cripple the economic and social development of third world countries. We are part of it, first one. And the second one is limiting the growth of manpower necessary for such development. So we are saying we're going to develop prosperity. So this is contrary to this policy. You need to understand that. Not only that, it concludes third world economic development represent a threat to U.S. national security. And those advocating such development policy had to be crushed. That's why they're challenging this current government. Why? It goes against the grain, what they want. That's why. And so you need to understand that all this pressure, they try that way, this way, and the current government, Ethiopian government, seems to be resilient, although with all its problems and shortcomings. And so they don't like that. It is their policy. It is contrary to, because a plan to enfeeble the power of the developing sector means to enfeeble, to cripple you. So it's not without any reason. Some people misunderstand, those ignorant of what United States policy is. Oh, because they favor, no, it's beyond that. The TPLF was needed to pursue because it's a trained dog for them.
Some people also associate this draft bill with the Uchale Treaty. I'm sure you know about Uchale Treaty, and yeah, how do you associate it?
I don't know whether it's a good thing to draw a parallel with the Uchale treaties, but every time they try to advance their interest deceptively, they apply the same formula, the same deceptive method. They say something and then they plant something a very obscure way, which is not obvious unless you are a very forensic minded to detect what it means. Even the concept they use, the words they use, is very confusing for many people. You have to be extremely brilliant to penetrate into their intention. So look at this: stabilization, peace, democracy. It looks good, but no, completely the intention behind this resolution is to crush, to cause a havoc in Ethiopia, so the people will rise up and then go and done with this current government. And by the way, I can see a sign of this, what they be working in a very, very delicate manner. This is, they are propagated systematically, they are fed, their agency, the US agencies are doing this work, you see, nurturing, mentoring, inspiring those to not to see exactly the real problem to gloss, to blink at them, you know, to walk, not to be able to see widely, to be able to see clearly the root causes of the problem. But they create to see anything. They say, look, on that side, they say, okay, we can help you. You can overthrow the government. On the other hand, they say they are agitating the public. You see, they work. They're investing. You see, they've got agencies. You see, going around in a cafes, wherever people gather, and advocating, propagating United States destabilizing force. I don't know how many government officials understand this. You see, these people are paid. And this is U.S. Secret Service agencies are and planting this seed. Most people don't understand. They don't even understand. They can't even pronounce Shane. You see, all of this is a conspiracy designed to destabilize, to weaken, to destroy the government, the current government. I don't know how much the government officials understand this. U.S. force is at work in Amhara region, in Tigray region, in Afar region, everywhere they want to sow a seed of hostility. I call United States a rogue state, a hostile state, a menace to peace and stability and development. They're absolutely contrary to the title they're given to this H.R.6600, because it's nothing to do with the stabilization, nothing to do with peace, nothing to do with democracy. They never supported democracy, stabilization. They always sowed a seed of instability, hostility, and violence, and a destruction. They benefit, they profit from this. So if any naive individual or listen to that and they say, oh, they encourage democracy, this and that. No, this is a gloss over of their devilish intention behind it.
Thank you, Professor. And let me also forward this question. There is a phrase frequently mentioned in this draft bill, civil war in Ethiopia. Civil war in Ethiopia here and there in this draft bill. And my question is, was civil war practically happened in Ethiopia? Who investigated?